Hi, I am Nicole Pauling, and I am going to talk to you about the special education referral process. Let me pop into my presentation, which I thought was pulled up. Here we go. So children get referred for a lot of reasons. Sometimes they come in and it is their parents already know that there's something going on, that there are some disabilities that need to be handled. Sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. Sometimes it is a process of teachers taking a look and seeing what's going on, or parents eventually going, hey, there are some things that we have noticed. So it starts out with identifying the student, seeing what kinds of issues they are. Maybe they're behavioral, maybe they're academic. And there's a reference to guidance. They look at test scores. They look at work examples. They look at behaviors. Is this child getting up 15 times in a 45-minute period? And do the other students do the same thing? If the other students do the same thing, then this is behaviorally appropriate. Everyone is doing it. If he or she is the only one doing it, then that's when you go, okay, this is something that is out of the norm. If needed, there's a referral for academic testing, and then they determine IEP eligibility. If they're not eligible for an IEP, they're just, they can put in some basic classroom interventions, but those are not legally mandated, and they can continue tracking and determine whether or not there's an IEP needed in the future. If it's determined that they do need an IEP, then the IEP is created and then implemented. In Pennsylvania, these are evaluated for effectiveness annually, and the three possible outcomes are they modify the IEP, so they add in new parts to it, or get rid of parts that were not working. They keep it as is, or they remove the IEP altogether because the student no longer needs it or is no longer eligible for it. So if there's no IEP, no additional services are put in place. It's just done. If they decide to modify or keep it, then it goes back into the same process. The teachers implement the IEP, it's re-evaluated annually, and they evaluate for effectiveness, and then they decide again whether they're going to modify it, keep it, or remove the IEP. So it's really, really individualized. It's really unique to each individual student. The ultimate goal is not necessarily for a student to not have an IEP or to get out of special education. It's really to help them be successful. For some kids, successful might be, hey, I stayed in my seat I stayed in my seat most of the time. I only got up 5 times. Or I was on task 75% of the time. Or I turned in my homework 85% of the time, right? And usually that goal goes up as the student achieves. But, originally it might be the student's going to be on task for 25% of the time, because that will be an improvement on whatever the previous behavior was. So IEPs are very, very individualized, very, very much geared towards that particular student, because every student is going to be really unique, and what their needs are going to be extremely unique as well. So thank you, and I will see you in class.